Alright, well, this is a video that I wish I didn't have to make. I hate talking about stuff like this when it happens, but I think it's important, and I think that there's a lot of things about it that just need to be said. So if you don't know what's been going on, Christian apologist and speaker Ravi Zacharias recently passed away, and before his death and also after his death, there were some allegations coming out about him acting in inappropriate ways towards women and having inappropriate relationships with women as well. Now, right away, this was hard for a lot of people to believe given the kind of person that Ravi was, and to be honest, he just really didn't have those vibes that some of these other people that get caught up seem to have. But I recently did a video discussing the accusations, and in the video I said how I didn't know if he was guilty or not, but I wanted to provide some insight that could help Christians to know how to think through situations like this in the event that he or someone else that they look up to is found guilty. So that was about 2 months ago. And today his ministry, RZIM, they released a statement to provide an update on the ongoing investigation. And we're going to go ahead and read it. But just note that some of the words I'll have to edit out because the algorithm will penalize me if I say them. In August 2020, allegations of misconduct were made against our founder, Ravi Zacharias. Unfortunately, Ravi had died several months before we first learned of these allegations, so we were unable to explore them with him directly. We engaged Miller & Martin PLLC to investigate these allegations, while also giving them wide latitude to go wherever their investigation might lead them. We have also repeatedly stated our intention not to comment on the investigation until receiving a final report on it. However, while the investigation remains ongoing and is not expected to be completed until January or February, yesterday we received a brief interim update on the investigation we felt we needed to share. Sadly, the investigation update indicates this assessment of Ravi's behavior to be true, that he did indeed engage in blank misconduct. This misconduct is deeply troubling and wholly inconsistent with the man Ravi Zacharias presented both publicly and privately to so many over more than 4 decades of public ministry. We are heartbroken at learning this, but feel it necessary to be transparent and to inform our staff, donors, and supporters at this time, even while the investigation continues. We will speak more comprehensively to all concerned after the completion of the investigation. We are devastated for those who have suffered from Ravi's misconduct and for the pain that they are enduring. They have asked for confidentiality and anonymity, and both we and the investigators are committed to honoring their wishes. This preliminary statement is not intended to cut short the investigation or predict its full outcome. We want to ensure that the investigators have the appropriate time and space to complete their work and allow all those who may still desire to have a voice in this process to do so. We ask for continued patience as we complete a lengthy process of investigating serious allegations. RZIM will publicly release the Miller & Martin report as given to the board as soon as possible after the investigation is complete. In the meantime, we share your compassion for any victims of this conduct, and we appreciate your prayers for them and also for Ravi's family who have been devastated by this information. As ever, the Lord remains our principal hope for healing and restoration. Yeah, so that was a bit of a bummer, and it was really sad because Ravi was actually one of the best and well-known defenders of the Christian faith in our generation, hands down. Sometimes we can get far too defensive over the people that we like, and that can actually cloud our judgment. But in light of all of this, I think that some of the points that I made in the last video are more important and more applicable now than ever. The truth is, it's almost natural for us to elevate people with large platforms to places that they just simply don't belong. We almost naturally see them as far better than how their spouse or close friends probably see them, and more importantly, we don't see all of the bad parts that they have that they're ashamed to show and that they don't want other people to see. Just because people like Ravi and people like me, just because we have these Christian ministries, that doesn't make us superhuman or resistant to temptation and sin. Yes, we are called to a higher standard and will be judged more strictly before God, but people too often forget that Christian leaders aren't saved because they're good. They're saved because they too realize that they're not good enough to save themselves. To me, another sad part about all of this is that I know and I've read from several Christians who have had their faith shaken by flawed pastors and teachers, and I also know a lot of non-Christians who look at some of these fallen pastors and teachers and they say that they don't want anything to do with Christianity because of them. This is why our actions as leaders and teachers are so important, and this also reveals an issue with the way that a lot of people understand Christianity today. If you place the morality of Christian teachers too close to the foundation of your faith, then you're going to be let down every single time and your faith is going to be in a rocky place. Now, of course, we do strive for perfection, and by God's grace, we should be growing in character, but nonetheless, we all still sin. All of us do. And if that's the case, then fallen men shouldn't be placed near the core of your faith. Now, remember what is actually at the core of Christianity, and that's the fact that none of us are perfect and none of us will be in this life. Because of that, Christ had to be perfect because we couldn't be. That's somewhat the theme of the Bible, right? People keep trying to be moral enough enough and good enough, and they keep falling. So again, the core Christianity is that we're saved not because we're so good or we're so spiritual or anything like that, but because we're not. Now, I want to be clear so that way I'm not misunderstood here. Of course, this doesn't excuse Ravi for what he did. Instead, what my point is that we have to stop looking to men to be something that only God can be. All of our hearts are far, far worse than we could ever possibly imagine. But as Tim Keller says, we also have a king who loves you far, far, far more than you could ever possibly imagine. So no matter what, remember that Christians of popular platforms aren't the ones that saved you. Christ is the one that saved you. No matter how many Christian leaders fall, remember that life goes on because Christ lives forever. I talk about this more in depth and also give other reasons for why this doesn't affect the truth of Christianity in my previous video that I did on Ravi. So go ahead and click here and I'll see you over there. But the next time that you find yourself placing far, far too much trust in a flawed man, what are you going to say?